This week, we're working in the incredibly beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah on the Rowland Hall dance floor. Join us for floored.tv. Hello everybody, I hope you're doing well. It's Levi here with Floored.tv, and we are going to go over a small dance floor that we did at Rowland Hall Private School in Salt Lake City, Utah. This particular system was done in August of 2019, so it has been quite a while. Now this is a Robbins system that is completely free floating. There's absolutely nothing anchoring it to the ground. Since there was already carpet in the room, this was by far the best choice. Basically what it sits on is 8-foot planks are resting on top of 2 different layers of foam. This first bottom layer is more like a foam, kind of like a Nike sole. This goes from wall to wall. Then there's a second layer that goes on top of that the exact opposite way, the length of the room. This foam is more like the carpet pad that you would see in your own house, but it has a very grippy surface on the top which allows it to grab the boards that we put on top of it and keep the floor in place. The weight of the floor alone holds this down. Now these planks are 8 foot long, and basically what we do is there's 2 separate layers of plank here. The bottom layer is cut in odds and the top layer is cut into evens. And then we basically just mesh them together, and then we split the planks 50-50 and staple them together as you can see here. The bottom layer is cut in 1, 3, 5, and 7, and the top layer is cut in 2, 4, 6, and 8. The neat thing about that is when you cut a 1-footer, you actually get yourself the 7 that you're going to need later. So each cut that you make actually gets you 2 boards, which is pretty awesome and saves you a lot of time. This particular subfloor system is actually very soft, which is perfect for dancing. Basketball floors are generally stiffer because you need that action off of the sports floor to reflect that ball back into the player's hand as they are playing. But with dance floors, you simply just don't need this. You just need a flat, soft surface. Once you bring the 2 separate layers together and staple them, you have a distance of 1 foot gap between every joint on this floor. This is perfect because it spreads all the joints out throughout the floor, which actually gives it great strength. And splitting the distance in the center actually gives this floor a little bit of flexibility and softness. So at this point, the entire subfloor has been installed. All the end cuts have been cut in, everything's stapled together. I cleaned up all the scraps, broom swept the floor, and even blew it off with an air gun. It's very important to remember before you start to lay out your maple that you want as clean of a surface as you can possibly get, because even if a couple little pieces of gravel get left on the floor, once you start nailing the maple together, that gravel will get in between the boards and cause little gaps. Now those gaps might only be a 1/16 of an inch, but they add up quickly. You get 3 or 4 of those in one spot and you'll get a bump in your floor, and nobody wants to see that happen. As you can clearly see here on the side-to-side gaps, there's a 1/4 inch gap between the side of each plank, which allows for this floor to contract and expand over time as this wood takes on humidity and loses humidity throughout the seasons. This is very important in the Salt Lake City area because we have brutal winters up here. Now I chose to start my starter row on the side with the mirrors so that my tools would be facing away from it. I did this because I didn't want to take the chance of possibly hitting that mirror with my hardwood hammer and shattering the glass. And that could cost thousands of dollars to repair. Nobody wants to deal with that. Not to mention if a piece of that glass fell down on top of me, it could cause one heck of an injury. So starting facing my tools away from the glass was by far the smartest decision here. This way I'm working away from the mirrors and none of my tools are going to come anywhere close to it. Now the maple flooring that we're installing on this particular job is made by Robbins. It's called ďʌษäąḻ. This is a second grade material. Now the ďʌษäąḻ material is a patented type of wood that is basically created by finger joining smaller pieces of wood together. Now what this does is it not only allows the manufacturer to use smaller pieces of material that they normally couldn't utilize, which is actually good for the environment, but it also adds strength to the floor overall because a large number of the joints are actually glued and pressed together as opposed to just being held by a staple. And the glue has a superior hold over a staple. Generally with staples, the more that you add, it'll actually weaken the material to a certain extent, but glue binds it permanently. Now you can see here that I'm about 5 foot off the wall and I've started nailing the maple down to the subfloor. The color of the floor looks great, which is one of the reasons why you generally want to lay out your material like I'm doing here. You don't have to do it all in a big rack out like this. You can do it just a couple feet at a time. But what it does is it allows you to look at the color overall, and it also helps the wood to acclimate better to the environment because you've opened it up out of those bundles and exposed it to the environment that it's in now, as opposed to the environment that the wood was in when it was packaged by the manufacturer. So at this point, I'll just keep nailing the floor down. At this point, all the maple flooring is installed, and I just want to point out this little obstruction right here in the corner. This is actually one of the old wall heaters. This has pipes that go down through the floor. It's important to remember to keep at least 1.5 to 2 inches away from any pipes or any part of this heater, because if this floor grows, it'll literally tear it right off of the wall. Now, as you can see here, we have the floor all completed. The color looks incredible. This room just has come to life. That's one of the things that I've always loved about this job, is when a project comes together exactly the way it's meant to, and the final product is just perfect. Once we put a couple coats of finish on this, it's just absolutely going to come to life. I mean, dreams are going to be made on this floor. And being an artist myself, I've always had a deep appreciation for other artists and the things that they create. Now, the kids are absolutely going to love this floor, and I'm so excited to see it finally come to fruition. So in closing, I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. It truly was a pleasure to go to Salt Lake City and install this floor. It might seem like this process took a little bit longer, but overall, it only took about 3 days to put this floor in, but it truly was a pleasure, and I actually only live about 2 hours away from Salt Lake City, so in a lot of ways, this is kind of my backyard. It's like my home. I've always had a special place in my heart for Salt Lake City, and I actually really enjoy being in that general area overall. So another thing that I would just like to mention quickly is that my band, The Great Falling Away, recorded all the music that you heard in this video today. And if you liked it, you can download any of the songs that you've heard from my album absolutely free. The link's in the description. All I ask in return is that you give me a like on this video and help me beat the YouTube algorithm, because it's getting pretty tricky to get through that thing nowadays, as you well know. And stay tuned, because there's a lot of new videos coming from some really big projects in Nevada this summer, and I think you're really going to like them. So thank you so much. Have a great day.